Hey, this is Siobhan. Welcome to my kitchen. Well, it's not really my kitchen. I'm outside today. It's such a beautiful day. And I wanted to let you see this video. This is one of our favorite meals. I love smothered chicken livers with onions, gravy over rice, and a little broccoli on the side. And that's what we're showing you today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. This was a special request from my sister-in-law, so you know I just had to go ahead and do this one. I'd already done it, but she wanted to see the video, so I'm going to go ahead and hopscotch this one to the front of the line and make this especially for Carlene down in Kathleen, Georgia, near Warner Robins Air Force Base. This is for you, sissy. I love you. Rinse the chicken livers in cold running water until the water is mostly clear. Soak the chicken livers in enough water to cover and add about 2 tablespoons of salt to the water. Let the chicken livers soak for about 30 minutes while you cut up your veggies and prepare the seasonings. Use about 1 bunch of scallions, cut off the ends. Make sure that you cut off both ends and use the freshest scallions you can buy. I cut them up in about 1-inch sections. You don't have to use scallions, but we love onions so much that we just use as many onions as we had in the refrigerator at the time. We would have added mushrooms, but I didn't have any on hand. You will need 2 medium to large onions. Peel them, rinse them in some cold water. That helps to keep you from crying while you're cutting up the onions. Cut them up, put them in a baggie, rinse them off in the baggie with some water, put them in the refrigerator until you get to the next step. Now it's time for the seasonings. Want some adobo? I used about 2 tablespoons of adobo. It's very salty, so you don't have to add any additional salt to it. If I'm going to add this to my flour, I would probably use a little more, but I'm going to add this directly to the chicken livers, so I use less. Next, you can use cayenne pepper instead of the togarashi. Togarashi is very spicy, so you don't have to worry about adding cayenne unless you really want to. No adobo or togarashi? Hey, there's always salt and pepper. It's my old standby. If you have garlic powder or garlic salt, you could also use that instead. I'm also using Seasonings, which is really just seasoned salt. I love paprika, so we're using paprika, and I'm using sweet paprika. There's also a hot, spicy paprika, and I didn't use that since everything else in there is already spicy. If you have less than 2 pounds of chicken livers or you have more, you'll have to adjust the amount of seasonings that you're going to use. You want to mix the seasonings up well before you add them to the chicken liver. Of course, I did not show the video. I forgot to start my camera to show me adding it to the chicken liver, but I did right in the bag. All right, this is a mistake I made, and I want you to avoid the same one. I should not have added the flour to the bag of the chicken livers. Well, actually, that wasn't so bad. What I did was I left them in there. I should not have done that. I should have gone ahead, just dredged them in some flour, just like that, a lot of flour, and then taken them out and put them on a tray or some parchment paper or something like that. But no, I was lazy that day. I was trying to hurry up and finish, and I added the flour to it in the bag and then left it for about 30 minutes or more. And a whole lot of gluten. So if you're gluten-free, you don't want to use this recipe unless you're going to use gluten-free flour. But I used the gluten flour, left it laying in there, and it got all gummy and gooey with all that gluten that formed. It was a mess. So I went ahead, see right there, I should have taken them out right here. So I put them away and came back to them. All right, next I'm going to add some vegetable oil. I added about a cup of vegetable oil to the skillet, so to make it about ½ inch deep, no more than that. Because once you turn over the chicken livers in it, it's going to fry out evenly on both sides. I did not start the pot with the grease in it because I want to go ahead and do my broccoli first. Got a nice fresh head of broccoli, and you can use frozen broccoli. I love to use fresh when I can find it, and I always make sure I find it with as little stem on the bottom as possible, so I don't have to waste a lot. If you buy broccoli florets already frozen, you don't have that problem because most of the time you don't have much stem on it. Rinsed off the broccoli, washed them real good, and put them in my steamer with about a ½ cup of water. And I'm going to, maybe about a cup of water. And I'm going to go ahead and steam those right after the chicken livers are finished. But I want to do all this prep now so that my chicken livers won't get cold while I'm cooking the broccoli. Now, to make this special sauce for my broccoli, this is a spicy sauce. And for the spicy sauce, I'm actually using hot paprika. Yes, it is hot. You can use cayenne pepper if you don't have it. I used some Goya. That's about a teaspoon of Goya. Again, I like garlic salt. Okay. Then I used some red chili peppers. I have almost a stick of butter here. I ended up using a stick and a half because I added another half of stick of butter. So it comes out with a stick and a quarter butter. More butter if you like more butter on your broccoli, less if you don't want as much. And I melted it all in the microwave. And once I did that, I realized I want more butter in here. So I went ahead and added some more butter. Yeah, there you go. I added a whole nother half a stick of butter to let it melt. And you want this nice and melted because once your broccoli comes out of the steamer, you want to be able to pour that over immediately without your broccoli getting cold, waiting for that to melt. Now, here comes the chicken liver frying. You're going to see what a mess I made. Actually, I cut a lot of the mess out so you can't really see it. But it was a mess. I knew at this point, you made a mistake. So that's why I have the gloves on. Make sure your oil is nice and hot. I put mine on 350. See how everything's kind of gummy and stuck together? Yeah, it's stuck to each other, stuck to my gloves, everything. You kind of work kind of fast because you don't want the first chicken livers you put in to get overcooked. Got them all in there. And yes, they are stuck to the bottom of the bag. It was a mess. Again, my suggestion is to dredge your chicken liver in a bowl or something like that that has flour in it, or if I had just taken them out as soon as I dredged them in the flour, they'd been fine. But don't let them sit like that. It does not affect the taste, by the way. Thank you very much. Then, almost as quick as you put them in, they're ready to be flipped over. It only takes about maybe 2 minutes on the side, especially if the oil is nice and hot. Just flip them over as they get brown. I like to do mine clockwise or counterclockwise so I know which ones I put in first and last, but I was so discombobulated by all that mess I made in that bag that I forgot which ones I put in there first, last, or otherwise. But again, it doesn't matter. They will still turn out nice and golden brown, and that's what you're looking for, golden brown. Now it's time to remove these chicken livers, pour off the grease that you use. These are the last of the chicken livers because I had to do it in 2 batches. So I poured off as much of the oil as possible. I didn't need a lot of it. And now I'm going to return the chicken livers to the skillet. And if you notice that paper towel, you'll see it better once they come off. But you see that red around the edges? That's actually some of the juice from the liver. I did not cook them until they were done, because they'll finish cooking in the onions and gravy. Now it's time to add the onions. We loved onions so much. Sometimes I use so many onions I can't get the top on, but I didn't want to do that this time. You can use red onions, yellow onions, white onions, it doesn't matter. Whatever we have on. I've done it with all those onions, plus the scallions. And again, I would have used the mushrooms. Mushrooms, so good. But I didn't have any at the time. Now time to add, you're going to need to add some liquid to make your gravy. And I'm using chicken bouillon. I didn't have a lot of the bouillon left in the jar, so I had to also use some chicken paste. Pour your water in, or you can just mix it up in a jar and then pour it out over it. But I went ahead and poured, that was 16 ounces of water I put in. And I just sprinkled the bouillon base, the chicken base over top of the broth base all over the top. You need to read the instructions so you know how much you're using. I get kind of heavy-handed sometimes, but I wanted to make sure I was using the right proportions for the amount of water I was going to use. And ultimately, I think I ended up using 3 cups of water. And that's the second bottle. And I only used about half of that. I didn't show one step. Well, I didn't show a whole lot of steps, but just definitely this step was very important. In order to thicken your gravy, because once you finish with adding the water and the bouillon, it is not going to be thick enough for your gravy. So you want to thicken it up, and you can thicken it in one of 2 ways, using a slurry of flour or a slurry of cornstarch. If you are prone to doing getting lumps in your gravy, you want to use cornstarch. You won't get any lumps with cornstarch. Just put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch or 2 tablespoons of flour and about a cup of cold water, and slosh it around until it's all mixed together, and then slowly pour in your flour slurry or your cornstarch slurry all around the skillet. And as it comes back to a boil, as the sauce comes back to a boil, you will notice that it's thickening up. If it doesn't thicken up for you enough, just redo that again. Okay, and you'll end up getting a nice thick gravy if that's what you want. I wish I had more gravy, because we love gravy, love onions, love gravy, but it came out to be, it was enough. We didn't need more gravy. It's fine. This is not a diet conscious menu, by the way, just in case. Only thing diet conscious on here is the water that we poured into the chicken livers. Now we put that slurry over top, that butter slurry over top of the broccoli. It turned out delicious. It was so good. Doesn't that look delicious? Ooh, it was so good. Now it's time to dish it up and get to eating. You have a choice of using noodles or rice, and we've done both. But I already had some rice that I'd cooked a couple days before, and I went ahead and I used that. I just heated that rice up. You just add a little water, just like a tablespoon of water in the bag of already cooked rice, and put it in the microwave. And I just had 1 scoop. That's a 1 cup measure. Yum, yum. I'm getting hungry. I need to do this again. This was so good. And there's some people who can't stand liver. I don't care what you put on it. They don't want that. This video is not for you. We love liver. I like calf liver too, but it's very expensive. And the beef liver, you know, from the grown cows, that stuff is tough. You got to take the veins out. Now I don't be bothered with all that. I'd rather do the chicken liver. And this is delicious. Yum, yum. That's it. Go make yourself some.